What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another one of CCA's interview, which is part of our outreach series. It's your girl, Leah. As you know already, or don't, I am a CCA intern and a junior at St. Peter's University, located in Jersey City, New Jersey. I am majoring in biology, aspiring to become a craniofacial surgeon. I, too, was born with a facial difference called Goldenhar Syndrome that came with a long road of surgeries, therapies, and a lot of rehabilitation. But you guys already know already, it never stopped me from achieving any of my goals. So today I have another guest. I am joined with Chelsea Buyalos. Chelsea currently resides in Chester, Virginia, and is a classically trained singer, music educator, and arts administrator. When she's not working, she encourages others to step into that spotlight by embracing their own uniqueness. Chelsea currently serves also as the executive director at the Perkinson Center for the Arts and Education. Welcome, Chelsea. It is a pleasure to have you on our series.
I am so excited to be here and so excited to finally meet you virtually.
I'm so excited. Thank you for joining and sharing your time with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. So let's get started. Would you like to start off telling a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I will give it a good old shot here. My name is, again, Chelsea Buyalos, and I like to say that I am a steward of the arts. The arts have impacted my life a great deal, and they've also carried over into my advocacy as a craniofacial advocate. And it's a very, very beautiful journey connecting the two. But yes, I was born with Goldenhar Syndrome, another golden baby here. And so our stories may parallel each other a lot. So yes, I was born with Goldenhar Syndrome, and with the ups and downs that come with that, the twists and turns, ups and downs, with trying to navigate the world with a craniofacial difference. It's been a challenge, but I have gone through the process of reclaiming my uniqueness and allowing myself to heal in a variety of ways. And so, stepping into that advocacy spotlight and making it a little bit better and a little bit easier for those that follow, I think is really important. And again, if I can do that through the arts, I love doing that as well. I think it's really, really important. And yeah, that's just a little bit about me. When I'm not on stage or behind the scenes or advocating for something, I'm usually spending a lot of time with the two loves of my life, my two cats, Cheeto and Frito. They are new additions to my family. So when I do get some downtime, I get to spend some time with my furry friends. And I'm a huge, huge advocate of family. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the support of my family. So recently I moved back home to serve in my new role, and I'm closer to my family. And that has definitely been a godsend. So we've kind of been reconnecting through this process. So definitely have to give a shout out to them as well.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's Cheeto and Frito. Oh my God, that's so cute. I love the names. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's truly amazing. I love how you're sharing your advocacy and your uniqueness through music. So what's it called? I've been doing research on you, and girl, you are an amazing singer. Your voice is amazing. Like when I heard it, I'm like, oh my God, am I at the Phantom of the Opera?
Awesome.
What first got you into music?
Well, it goes back to when I was very, very little. I developed a love for music at a very, very early age with the help of my grandmother. My dad's mom was a huge music fanatic. She was also a listener of the opera. She would oftentimes listen to the Metropolitan Opera broadcasts in the car or at home. And I was definitely one who was in the car with her a lot. And I got bitten by the opera bug at a very early age. So definitely attribute that love for music, starting with her, my Nanny B. I have a Nanny A and a Nanny B. It's Nanny Abernathy and Nanny Buyalos, because I get the question all the time, is it a favorite? No, it's just their last names, I promise. So my Nanny B definitely lit that spark in me. Wow. And so that had led to, starting to take piano lessons. And then that snowballed when I got into middle school and started to take choir. I had a very, very amazing choir teacher in the 6th grade who noticed that I had a little set of pipes on me and frantically almost talked to my mother and said, you need to get this child into voice lessons. You need to get her into studying music seriously. And my mom brushed it off and said, oh, you tell that to every kid's parent. But she was persistent. And if it weren't for her and the efforts of my grandmother, I wouldn't be as involved in music. So it definitely goes back to those early years and into, the middle school years and into the high school years. And that is when I started to really develop that aptitude for it. And, I said, oh, you can do this as a career. That's great. I love that. And so I decided to dedicate myself to that. So that's where I got my start musically. The funny part about that is I come from my grandmother was a music appreciator, but my family, no one was really musical. So when you have a child, 6, 7, 8 years old, who likes opera, my parents were like, okay, what do we do with her? So they definitely just dove in and supported me from the start and allowed me to really dive into the art form that it is and appreciated it. They didn't say, what do we do? They said, okay, let's do this. And so I really, really appreciate that as well. And when I talk about my musical journey too, the art saved my life. As you know, as members of the craniofacial community know, those early years are very dark and uncertain in terms of where you are medically. You have your highs and your lows. So the arts definitely allowed me to have an outlet, and they brought me a lot of comfort through those years. So I definitely have to talk about that because it's important. The arts weave their way into our lives and provide us solace in so many ways, and the highs and lows that come with life. And that's a big part of why I'm here. I hate to take that dark tone, but it's true. It's true. They definitely provided that solace.
Yeah, I feel like that music did that for me too, because we both went through I feel like our lives are very similar, like you said. So it was like a little escape route for us, and that comfort feeling. I love music. I love anything that has to do with arts and everything. So I totally, understand and feel you. So, my next question for you is, do you have any influencers that you looked up to when you were younger with opera singing?
Oh, okay. So yeah, musically or artistically, I'm an equal opportunity enthusiast. I always love to take in any kind of art discipline, whatever medium it is. But musically, as I said, didn't have experience with opera, was not really an opera appreciator until I got, into it really. So I didn't grow up with opera in the house without the help of my grandmother. So my parents were listening to the likes of Bruce Springsteen, Peter Gabriel, Stevie Wonder. Like I had so many eclectic music references as a child growing up. When I think about the operatic world, I love my Leontine Price. She's absolutely a wonderful, wonderful example. Another one, I mentioned Bruce Springsteen. Yes, I like Bruce Springsteen. Another one, a more recent one, you gotta love Adele. I always joke whenever she releases an album, I always say, okay, I'm allowed to feel things for this weekend. Every couple years, I'm allowed to let all the emotions out. So I'm a firm believer in her. I love all types of music, and I draw a lot of my references and a lot of my strength from all kinds of genres. So even though I perform mainly in the classical world, my playlist is diversified.
Wow. How did you know that you wanted to get into opera, pursue opera, only opera?
Well, the voice guides you, not to be sentimental in that, but having that support system like I did in middle school with Miss Hosteller, I'll go ahead and name drop her, Valerie Hosteller, that persistent chorus teacher. She had a really guiding hand and pointing me in the right direction of things to sing. And yes, classical music is where I landed, but there's always the crossovers. There's always Broadway, definitely have set foot in that, musical theater, jazz, things of that nature. So we have that baseline technique, and then you can branch off into a variety of other things. But how did I know? It just clicked. I think, and this goes back to Miss Hostetler, she had me sign up. This harebrained idea had me sign up for a local music competition in the 6th grade. And I was like, okay, somewhat just unknowing. I was like, okay, sure, let's do this. And I remember getting up there, and I remember singing Danny Boy for the first time publicly.
Yeah.
We had practiced it hundreds of times and got everything up there and got it ready for performance. And I remember getting on stage and being absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell you my left kneecap was like shaking so vigorously that I thought I was going to literally collapse. I was so nervous, so nervous.
Yeah.
And I was able to squeak it out. But then after I got done, got off the stage, sat down and did the whole thing, you do the awards assembly and all that kinds of stuff.
Right.
I remember going to the car with my mom and dad and saying, I can't wait to do that again. Even though I was nervous as heck.
Right.
Looking back at people and seeing their connection with you and being able to connect with them musically, and to have people come up to you after performance and say, my mom or my dad used to sing that to me when I was a child, or that song sparked this memory.
Right.
And having that moment, almost transcendent moment of connection.
Yeah.
And that was my first taste of seeing how the arts connect each and every one of us, and how their impact weaves into each and every one of our lives. So that was probably that first moment where I was like, okay, I'm all in. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it right. And not many people at that age can say, yeah, I knew what I wanted to do in the 6th grade. So I consider that a blessing. I had that aha moment at a very early age, and that allowed me to tee it up for the next few years. But if I had to single it down to one singular moment, that was it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And that's beautiful, because growing up, like for me, I was always shy and like always trying to hide my face. So that's beautiful that you wasn't like so worried about what others people think about your appearances. So I love that, the story that you told me. So
Yeah,
I like that.
no, it's a good experience. And from that experience, I'll say that it allowed me to step outside of myself for a moment.
Right.
And it allowed me to forget all the surgeries,
Exactly.
forget all the doctor's appointments.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me to focus on something that brought me so much joy.
Right.
And it also spurred me to really think about, at the time and growing up, and you've probably seen this too yourself in your journey, one of the reasons why I chose to go into the arts, whether it's performing arts, whether it's arts education or arts administration, those are the different realms that I've had the joy of working in. I chose to go into this because as a child in mainstream media, I didn't see anyone doing those things that looked like me.
Right.
In the shows that I watched, the TV shows, the performances, the magazine covers that I looked at, the movies that I watched, I didn't see anyone that physically I could relate to. And so that also kind of spurred me on. And not only did it bring me personal joy, but I realized, my voice has every right to be on stage, and my body, my beautiful body that I have been gifted to work in and live in every single day, deserves to be on stage and in those outlets as well. So that's one reason I think back to that moment, not just that catalyst moment, but it also helped shaped, okay, well, why do you do this? Because I'll be honest, going into this industry, it has its challenges. And I can tell you, I have a laundry list of those challenges, because going into any mainstream media or performing arts world, there's, this hint of a golden mean, right? And we've seen that systemically in our media that we consume. And that's not docking it, but we can we can improve upon it, right? And I definitely think about that. Projects that I take on with things that I work on, and I think about it, someone who may live a similar life that I do in the cradiofacial community, if they see me on stage doing something like this, or if they interact with something that lifts up the community in a positive way through artistic expression, then that will give them hopefully the confidence to, move to the beat of their own drum, and give them the confidence to put themselves out there, because we don't need to be in the shadows.
No.
You mentioned your younger self, you hid away. No, step into the spotlight.
That's what I'm doing right now.
And it's important to do that. So that's another motivator of why I do what I do.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah. Okay. This is my favorite question. Okay. Can you tell me about your process when it comes to creating a song? Like, what is your process when it comes, to making a song?
Well, for me, I am not so much creating my own original works. I get to work in areas where music has been written by composers of the past, as well as composers of the present. So composers of today. So I get to work collaboratively with composers that are out there that are, again, writing today, and then those that have been written in the past. So I think it's really, really cool. So instead of me writing out the music myself, I get to lift up their voices with my voice in some way, and, I think about it like this. Each song, essence, is a character, a mood, or if I'm taking on an operatic role where there is an actually fully formed character, I try to dive into, the backstory, or if it's a singular song, I try to look in between the lyrics and try to see the messages between the lines. And, I look at that and I see where the character is going, or what the overall tone of the piece is. And what I typically do is, whether it's a sad piece or an exhilarating piece where it's about joy or what have you, whatever the subject matter is, I definitely try to draw on my personal experiences to kind of, feed the energy in the piece. And there's also the other side of it where, there might be a historical context of the piece. I'll go and do research, for instance, if I'm doing a work that is centered on subjects such as historical context, like the Holocaust, I would go and do research on that subject. If I am doing something that is heavily musical theater, I'm going to go and check and make sure I know the show from top to bottom, so then I can figure out in that moment, the piece that I am working on, where does it fit in the story? So, whether it's a singular piece with a singular subject, or a whole role, whether it's a musical theater role or a operatic role, I try to do all of the backstory on all of those aspects of the piece as a whole. And again, I've even gone to, when I've done, character studies for operatic roles, you look at the time period. You look at the time period in which it was written. You look at the social standards that were there, the way they dressed. I go detail because that ultimately shapes the character that I bring to life on stage. And it shapes the, movement of my hands or gestures, things of that nature, the way I carry myself, if I am playing, I don't know, a peasant girl, I am going to carry myself differently than I would if I'm playing the countess. Right. So looking at all of those little things that go into a singular piece or a singular character. So even though I'm not writing it, I still have to embody it. Right. So that's what I do when I take on a piece.
Right. It's like you're playing a part, but it's yes. Okay. I got it. I got you now. So I've seen that you've traveled to amazing far places to perform. What is your favorite place you have performed before?
I will say this is going to be one that I reached back to. I've had the privilege and honor of performing in some pretty amazing places. I'm East Coast based, so I've had the luxury and privilege of working in a variety of halls and spaces up and down the East Coast in DC,
Right.
New York City, West Coast. But I've also had the privilege of traveling internationally for music. And so I've sung in Italy, Germany, and a variety of other places as well. So I will say I will take this one a few years back, when I got to perform in Italy. It was one of the first public professional experiences I had as a young singer, and I got to, in essence, debut overseas. And one of the most amazing memories that I had with this experience is that the venue that we performed in was like this outside amphitheater.
Right.
And so, you're performing under the stars with an orchestra. It's very picturesque. Like you have a pinch me moment. And so as a young singer, I will say, that was a beautiful moment where, my last night in Italy, what did I get to do? I got to do my final show. So I appreciated it and look back on it with a lot of fondness. I learned a lot while I was there. And I was there for a pretty long time with the company that I was with, and just had a fantastic time. The musicians were great. The ambiance, again, singing in this beautiful amphitheater, and it did not rain on any of our performances. I'm so happy about that. But just having that picturesque moment, and also too, it kind of broadened my view of the world. Because you only, if you live and work in a certain place for a long time, sometimes you can get in that bubble, right? So
Right.
having that experience at a very early age was a gift, because I got to work with so many talented people, so many different walks of life in terms of where they came from,
Yeah.
and it just was an eye-opening experience. That was one of my first ones, and I still to this day, in my studio at home, I have a lovely poster from that performance that I keep, because it was one of my first public professional performances as a young singer.
Wow. And how old were you?
I was 16, 17 years old.
16 to 17-year-old
Yeah.
performing in Italy?
Yeah. I was a young one.
Wow.
But that one performance led to, years of travel, being able to perform in Germany and in the
Yeah.
UK, and then a lot of a variety of places back home here in the US.
Wow, you are super blessed, because the music industry is very, very, very hard to get into. And to be able to travel like at that young age, I have a brother right now. He's like trying to get into the music industry as well. Like, he's a rapper, okay.
Okay.
Oh, he's like trying to get his music out, but he's like kind of stuck in this, like he gets too in his head and like overthinking and all that stuff. So like hearing from another person that like made it like just straight on, like it's in the music industry and like successfully, it's so beautiful. I love that.
Well, I'll give him a little unsolicited advice here. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anyone get in your head. Don't focus on what other people are doing. Focus on what you're doing. That's the biggest thing, because when you start, letting others influence you heavily, you forget and lose sight of what it is and why you create. So that's just some unsolicited advice, but it's important. It definitely is, because when you get lost like that, you lose sight of why you do what you do. Right.
Exactly.
So just a little bit there.
He's definitely gonna watch this. He needs to watch this. But my next question is for you. Is I know that you've been associated with CCA. How long have you been associated with that for?
Oh, okay. Well, I love this story. So I actually came to CCA late in life.
Yeah.
I in 2015, I in essence reclaimed my uniqueness and told my story publicly for the very first time. And it was an emotional roller coaster. And since then, I've tried to make sure that we talk about our journeys in our craniofacial community. And I had an experience in August of 2019. So this is before the pandemic, where I ran into a mother and her daughter in a restaurant in downtown Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with my mother eating, and we happened to just cross paths, and I happened to notice that the young lady, the young girl, she's about 6 or 7 years old,
Right.
had a Baja. And I said, oh, she's got a Baja.
Mhm.
And I had looked into getting one of those as an adult, but didn't go forward with it. But I decided to, after we were done, eating our meal, I said, I'm going to go over and say hello. And she was startled because she hadn't ever really met anyone that looked like her.
Right.
She had microtia of, I believe, the right ear. And just by, coming, to their table and connecting with them and saying hello, that meant the world to the mom.
Yeah.
And the little girl was like, Mom, where's her Baja? She's supposed to have a Baja. And so,
Mhm.
I had that experience, and that December I came home, and all through September and those months I had done a lot of craniofacial advocacy. That moment kind of spurred it on. I realized, I said, wow, that little girl, that was the first time she had met someone who looked similar to her, or maybe have had the same experience. So from that interaction all the way to December, I'd had those moments where I was talking about the craniofacial community, what it's like growing up with a craniofacial difference. And so in December, I had gotten home, and someone had gotten wind of it, and they did a little news story, and it was very, very nice.
Mhm.
And our friends at CCA happened to see it, and we got connected. And we got connected during one of the weirdest times in the world,
COVID.
um, during COVID.
Mhm.
And since then it's been a beautiful relationship. I didn't get to meet the CCA team until in person until this last retreat.
Really?
I had connected with all of them, worked with the speakers bureau, all of those members through this little box.
Yeah.
And I got to meet so many members of the craniofacial community in that way, and we were able to connect, even though we had to be separate and try to be safe during the pandemic. We were still able to connect, and that was a godsend.
Yeah.
First time I was really meeting individuals from my family,
Yeah.
whether they were young, whether they were an adult, whether they were a caregiver, and it was so much. It brought so much comfort.
Yeah.
So much comfort. And so, even though it feels like we've known each other for a very long time, it only dates back to, the early start of 2020. And
Oh,
so that just goes to show you the breadth and the beauty of what the CCA family is. And
right.
when I went to retreat, it was a beautiful, and it was my first retreat, by the way. Um
Mhm.
and it felt like I was just greeting an old friend. It,
Ah,
it was a beautiful thing. So CCA has provided me so much comfort. I share this a lot with my mom because she sees the joy
yeah.
now as an adult that CCA and the family has brought to me. And she says, I've told her, I said, this would have saved a lot of grief had we known about it when I was a kid. Because, back in the day, we didn't have internet like we do now, and we didn't have the Google.
Right.
And so, being able to find things on different syndromes or different facial differences was very difficult. My mom was literally handed like a medical encyclopedia and said, good luck.
Mm.
So it's just a beautiful resource to be able to connect people. And so many times over, I always say to her, this would have saved a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
So definitely want to give back as an advocate, as somebody who wants to raise their voice for the craniofacial community and in collaboration with CCA.
Yeah.
I think it's just really important. I want to make the world and leave the world better than the way I found it. And
Yeah.
I think by sharing our stories and helping foster more empathetic people
Mm.
in this world is a huge, huge endeavor and something that we need to take seriously and do. So if I can lend my voice in that way, I think it's a wonderful opportunity, not only to connect with people, but for me, in a way to heal. I'm not fully healed yet. It's a journey. It's a journey, and it's a process. And I've finally given over to that process.
Yes. Oh, you got me so excited when you were talking about street. What's it called? It's crazy because what's it called? I never met anyone from CCA like in person. Everything's virtual. So, and I never been to a retreat before. So, like the way you were describing it, oh my god, I can't wait because oh my gosh, I've been dying to meet my other side of the family. Like I never met anyone that looked just like me in person. So hearing the story you met with this little girl with the Baja, that is a beautiful story. Because if only I, met somebody or even knew, like, at a younger age, like, anyone that looked like me, I think that would have, changed my perspective in life. But
it would have offered, I think, and I think you're in the same boat, it would have offered a different level of support.
Yeah.
Because I'm grateful that I was a part of a very supportive family that invested a lot of time and energy and making sure I had what I needed. But also there are those days when it's just so hard. And I've had my mother say this to me. She's like, I will never get what it's like to be you.
Right.
I will never have your same experiences, but know that I'm there. But being able to talk to somebody, who has lived that experience to some degree, it's a whole other level. It's a whole other.
It really is. And I want to give a shout out to the parents that have children with any craniofacial differences, because you really don't know how to deal with that if you want to talk about it, it's like, you take it day by day. So that's why I'm very, very blessed to have the parents like, oh, your parents remind me as my parents, because my parents treated me like I was like, the star, like I was a child, like nothing was wrong with me. They treated me normal, like so normal. So I thought myself as normal too. But as soon as I, walk out, I'm like, why are they staring at me? Like, but I never like, it never took a toll on me like that until I got older. But
like, I think our stories run very parallel. Our family units, I think, are very, very similar. Didn't make excuses. My kid can do that. Yeah, put her on the team. Let her try. And don't make excuses for her or anything like that. And I think that's really great. I think that's awesome.
My mom's like, don't let her fool you. Like she can do everything you do. I'm like, oh, why you gotta do that? But yeah, like you said, like our story, it's a journey. Our story, we're both still healing, Yeah. My next question for you is, as we know, you are the executive director of the Perkinson Center for the Arts and Education. Can you go more in depth of what your days are usually like as being an executive director?
I love this question. I say that with a lot of love.
I'm sorry, can I tell you, I love your energy and personality right now. Like, I just love it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It comes and goes, but but I appreciate that. What does a day look like for someone in my role? Well, it has been a beautiful experience. I transitioned into this role in February of 2022, and it has been a beautiful experience because I'm actually returning home to the community where I got my start in the arts.
Right.
So there are a lot of individuals who had a hand in helping shape this little body here into adulthood. And so coming back here to serve in this role, it's a full circle moment.
It is.
And I look at it that way. But when you talk about day-to-day involvement here at the center, no 2 days are alike. That is a life in arts administration. So when you say, what does your day look like? It could range from, community meetings with partnering organizations, time in the school systems, meeting with kids and administrators, to working with my board in collaboration and bringing things to life here, or working with my production staff and bringing the moments to life here at the center. One of the greatest joys that we have as an organization is to create moments for others to experience and be transformed by the arts. And so again, that when you say, what does a day in the life look like? It could be a whirlwind. So it's a multifaceted center. I mean, here we've got an art gallery, we've got a 350-seat theater, and we've also got an education center. So I go back to my statement, no 2 days are alike, but it is so beautiful. Everyone always asks me, they're like, how you feeling today? Because they see my schedule or they see me around or what have you, and they see me go, go, go. And I will say I have gotten the best sleep of my life in recent months, just because I've had a lot of joy in the work that I'm doing, and it's impacting a community that invested a lot of time and energy in my love for the arts. So I look at it as a way of giving back. It is a form of service, and the arts are essential to humanity, and they help foster more vibrant communities. And I mentioned, empathetic human beings. They allow us to do that. They allow us to foster that as well. So I'm a very, very happy individual getting to work in the arenas that I get to work in every day.
Yes, I could tell, like, off your, like, the way you carry yourself and the way you talk, like, I know, like, you're an amazing executive director, like, dealing with kids, and the arts and all the music. I just know you're doing your thing out there. And I want to say thank you for, like, being you, and, like, being out here in the world and just, like, doing what you love, because that's a hard thing to do. People are afraid to even do that in this life, and you will rather do something else. So being able to do what you love and doing it well, that's so beautiful. And being a face for, like, the craniofacial community, and, like, being like a light for us is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Okay, my last question for you is, what is the best advice another musician ever gave to you?
What is the best advice another musician has ever given to me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I know this is
I've had so many moments.
You can take your time.
When this is in reference to the creative process, because the creative process ebbs and flows, ups and downs. What we do as musicians, what we do in the artistic creative space, it has a lot of weight sometimes.
Right.
Because of what we do is so subjective. And one of my teachers in college came to me in a moment during a lesson where I was trying to get this certain passage of this piece. It was a bear to get through.
Right.
And she reminded me, on this day, at this hour, at this very minute, this is all you can do. And it will not define what you do tomorrow. And it just put everything in perspective for me that, we get so lost in the nitty gritty, like, all the little things. It reminded me in that moment to pull back.
Right.
That what we do as creative beings has such an ebb and flow, and it's always changing. It's always evolving.
Right.
It reminded me of that. And again, living in a career where you're dedicating your life to the arts, there is no pinnacle.
Right.
There is no top of the mountain. You're in a posture of constantly learning and evolving in your artistry.
Right.
So that is from my college voice teacher, Mariana Bushing. She was very, very constant with me during my college years. And she was also a very empathetic teacher, because she had never had a student with a craniofacial difference. She had never had that experience, and she couldn't use, or she had to modify the way she taught a little bit, because when you have facial paralysis, when my esophagus has been reconstructed, the facial structures are not the same, or I have no feeling on, all of those things that come up. She took the time and was patient to understand and figure out ways that worked well with me, to create and to live in this artistic space. She never made excuses. She still kept me at top notch. But she also understood, okay, I'm explaining it this way. we need to pivot a little bit and maybe alter that a little bit to make sure that we're able to execute it, right?
Right.
So she was wonderful with that.
Ah, that's so cool, because I know a lot of, like, people or, like, well, professors and teachers that I had, like, they once they look at me, it's like I don't know what they think, but I think they think it's like I'm useless, or like, oh, like, oh, this poor child, da, da, da. So, like, to be able to have like that one good person or that good professor like by your side in your corner, helping you and guiding you like all the way, is that's nice. That's a blessing.
She was really good too, about preparing me for the audition world.
Yeah.
Because, I full frontal, I entered into a business where unfortunately, the systemic issue is that looks do matter.
Yeah.
So she prepared me for that, and she kind of equipped me in ways to handle that and to kind of diffuse that and to keep shining my light, because she was like, darn it, your voice needs to be heard. So she knew what I was walking into, and she tried her best to equip me with those things necessary to handle that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, right before we go, I don't know if might be a little too much, but would you like to give us a little singing action? I don't know.
I don't know. Goodness.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I was just pushing it. I was pushing it. I'm sorry.
Well, I've got a lot of oh Lord. I can't even I'm like with that stage fright, it creeps back in every once in a while.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was pushing it out.
But as one tune, because we've got Christmas music playing here all the time here at the center, one tune that popped into my head this morning was I'll be home Christmas. So yeah, it's there you go. There's a little bit of a taste.
I love I love Christmas music. So that just gave me everything. You guys heard that? Oh my gosh. Oh,
it's a little one that's been living in my head all day because we've had it on not repeat, but it keeps popping up on our playlist out front.
Oh yeah. Okay. I got her to sing, guys. Okay, yes. So thank you so much, Chelsea, for being on here. It has been such a pleasure to have you on. If our audience wants to learn more about you, where can they follow you?
Okay, well, I do have a website, www.chelseabuyalos.com. I also have an Instagram. I will make sure that it gets shared with you all on the YouTube links and things of that nature, because I don't keep track of my handles. I don't tweet twat. I'm learning all of those things, y'all. Okay. So I will make sure all of my handles are available in the comments for the YouTube video.
Yes, I wanted to. We appreciate you sharing your time with us, and we look forward to chatting with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.